Ah, Christmas time. What a magical time of the year. A time of caring, giving, traditions, and seeing family and loved ones. Oh, and the stress of buying whatever you can buy on Black Friday, or sitting at the tree waiting for your mother's command of when, where, and how to open presents. As December goes on, it's easy to think of past Christmases and traditions you and your loved ones enjoyed doing to make Christmas just as magical as when you were a kid. And what better way to feel that Christmas magic than family traditions? One thing my family's always been doing is watching movies, usually the full director's cut of Lord of the Rings. Nothing says Christmas like magic dwarves, old men, and the one ring that rules them all. But what about more usual movies? Those Christmas specials? Well, I have something to rant about. For the holidays, it's always fun to watch creators make videos that are holiday themed, obviously. So I thought, what better way to do that than make a Christmas special YouTube video about a Christmas special movie? Specifically, an old movie that I used to watch as a kid every year. The Year Without a Santa Claus. Made by Rankin Bass Productions, a motion animation production company that is most notably famous for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and a bunch of other Christmas films that they do. But wait, this isn't just one movie. No. It's actually 3 put into one DVD. And I'll take you on a journey to go over each of them to really see if it still brings that Christmas magic like it used to for me. And hopefully for you too. Let's start this with arguably the worst of the 3 movies, Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey.
Christmas Eve. Quietest night of the year up here at Santa's castle. That's because Santa and all the reindeer are off doing their big thing.
Who the fuck are you?
What? You never knew Santa had a donkey?
No, I didn't.
Me, Spieltoad. Come on, I'll show you around.
Oh, Sputo. So we get taken through Santa's stable and learn that this is a religious movie about Jesus' birth. And we're shown a set of that birth with a donkey on it. But apparently it's all wrong because the donkey doesn't look right. Sputo tells us that the donkey is Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey. Even going so far to say that Nestor is more important than Rudolph. Why? Because he carried Mary on his back all the way to Bethlehem. But I mean, one carried Santa and saved Christmas, the other one helped Jesus come to life. So I mean, it's really up to you.
You want to know more about Nestor?
I don't really have a choice, do I? So Sputo begins to narrate the story of how Nestor became the hero that he was. In the movie's opening, we learn that Nestor has really long ears, like so long he can't walk right, and because of this, he isn't allowed normal things that other barn animals would get. One of those things being, we see him not allowed to eat.
Oh, no food for you, long ears. You don't earn your keep.
We also see that nobody really wants to play with him, and they call him mean names, and this is played over a musical number. The only person that we see in Nestor's life who has really cared for him is his mother.
Here's Nestor.
After learning about the situation that Nestor's life is living, we then see that the animals on the coldest and longest night of the year are celebrating the winter solstice as if it was Christmas. And we see that Nestor's mother gives him a pair of stockings for his ears so that they don't look as long. But what's really funny about this is that the narrator says this.
Nestor's mother gave him a bright pair of stockings Olaf's wife had thrown away.
Here, wear this garbage on your ears. Uh-oh, trouble brews though when a knight barges into the stables and explains to the farmer that the emperor needs donkeys, and if he gives them to the knight, he'll be paid what for. But one of the donkeys that the knights take is Nestor. But he finds out that He's a deformed donkey, so the knight takes back all of the money that he gave to the farmer and takes the other donkeys for free as punishment for deceiving them. The farmer, obviously angered, tells Nestor that he ruins everything and he just can't deal with him anymore. So he throws him out, saying to never Holy! Farmer? Farmer. That's the profession you chose? Nestor's mother, seeing this, breaks free from the farmer to go after Nestor. Once she finds Nestor, the mother goes to a little inn cove with him, digging the snow out, and tells Nestor to sleep there while she wraps her body around him to stay warm for the night.
But in saving Nestor, she had allowed the storm to take her, and she was gone forever.
Nestor.
Are we all having fun? Are we all enjoying this nice Christmas tale together? So, with the death of Nestor's mother and not really sure what to do, Nestor decides to walk. And we eventually cut to seeing this character. Yeah. So we learn that this girl isn't actually a regular girl, but is actually a cherub named Tilly. And we learn that cherubs are like angels for animals.
Angels inspire humans, and cherubs inspire animals.
Alright. So Tilly tells Nestor that he has to go to Bethlehem, and Nestor is obviously like, nah. But then we see God shine a ray over Nestor's head as a commanding force to do as he's told.
He wants you to, Oh.
I wouldn't fuck around. This is the Old Testament God, Nestor. With the fear of the Old Testament God, Nestor sets out with Tilly to go to Bethlehem, and we have a nice musical number that plays in the background as a montage that talks about being kind to others, and we also see racist ducks. With the musical montage coming to a close, we see that they've made it to a place that's close to Bethlehem. But Tilly tells Nestor that he has to stay here for a while until he knows it's his time to leave. Oh, Tilly got raptured. So Nestor gets himself caught while walking into the village, and we see the same old story happen as before. He's a deformed donkey, which makes him undesirable to buy, and also making it so no one wants to play with him in the stable either. With tormenting days for Nestor going on, we see that Nestor is longing to go to Bethlehem, as he was told by Tilly that he has to wait here until it's the right time to go. And just as he's thinking that all is lost, he overhears people talking about going to Bethlehem. And we see Mary and Joseph. Mary and Joseph walk over to the stable where Nestor's at, and they want to buy him because he has an innocent look to his eyes that the other barn animals don't.
Is he for sale?
Is he for sale?
That was the question! But the man, for some reason, is like trying to say that Nestor is expensive because of his long ears, but I'm not even sure why he would say that, because literally no one else wants to buy Nestor, so I feel like this isn't doing what he thinks it is. But Mary decides to lock the fuck in and mog the man to have Nestor for free. So, with the purchase of Nestor, Mary and Joseph set off to go to Bethlehem, with Mary riding on Nestor's back. But trouble strikes because as they're heading through the desert, a sandstorm rolls in, making it impossible for them to know where to go. But just as we think all is lost, Nestor hears singing, making him look up to see and hear his mother speaking to him from beyond.
That voice, not Tilly. You're...
Telling him that his ears are special because he can hear angels singing, which will guide him out of the storm to Bethlehem. When they arrive in Bethlehem, they're told that every inn that they wanted to sleep in was already full for the night. So, Nestor, seeing a stable, takes Mary and Joseph to it because he knows how warm it can be to rest at one. Then, with the birthing of Christ, a bunch of nobles and kings come to give gifts to little Jay. But even with all this money and like people showing up, they still can't get to an inn, I guess. Like they're still at the stable. Inflation must have been a bitch back then. And while we get a triumphing song for Nestor about how he's a hero while he's on top of a sand dune a little ways away from the actual stable, the movie comes to its conclusion, which is funny to call it a movie because it's only about 25 minutes long, and that was Nestor the Long Year.
And when
What?
Nestor returned, he really was a hero.
No, a hero?
And his friends all gathered round.
Friends? No. You're telling me that somehow they found out that Nestor helped Christ be born from where they are? No. Have you forgotten all they did to you? They basically killed your mother. I don't care if you forgive him, Nestor. I will never forgive them for what they did to you. So with everyone saying that they now love Nestor, I guess, that then actually concludes Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey. Now that movie was always my least favorite because of the sad notes that it just ran through the whole movie, and then how completely BS it was that everybody loved Nestor at the end of the movie. Nestor, even if you love him, I don't love him for you. But that movie didn't really fill up my need for Christmas spirit, so let's move on to the next one before my blood vessel pops in me, shall we? Next up, we got Rudolph's Shiny New Year. And we open to hearing about how everybody knows about Rudolph and how he saved Christmas, but he also saved the New Year.
What's this? Why, it's from Father Time. My old friend. The old year ends in a week, but this time there may not be another year to follow.
And we hear that this character, Father Time, sends Santa a letter to tell him that Happy, the New Year baby, is missing. Whatever that means.
I'll send out a search party at once. But wait, nobody could find their way anywhere in all this dark fog and snow.
Yes, especially not a jolly old man who's magical like myself. No, I better send Rudolph, yes. So yeah, Father Time sends Santa a letter so that, the magical man Santa can go find this missing baby and bring it back to Father Time. But Santa is like, the only one who could be up for the task is Rudolph.
Once more, the happiness of all the world's children.
What was that, Santa? I think the buzzing is a sign that the red tumor is shutting off Rudolph's brain.
Rudolph, with your nose so bright, you've 6 days left to set things right.
The stakes are high. 6 days left. Better hop to it, otherwise venison is what the elves will eat. You mean tomorrow, right, Santa? It's the middle of the night and there's a blizzard happening. No, I mean right now. Like, right now. No, Santa, please, Santa. Get the fuck out of my house, you dirty animal. Let me just get this straight. Santa gets sent a letter for his help, and then he sends out one of his reindeer that can deal with this? It doesn't even really give Rudolph any directions at where to go, just kind of drops his ass out into the snow at night and gives him 6 days? Like, holy hell, Santa, man. Did you lose all your jolly spirit after Christmas is done? So, not sure where else to start, Rudolph decides to head to Father Time, and we actually end up seeing Father Time, who says his job is to basically make the new year happen every year. Oh, and he's also the narrator of this story. Father Time tells us that Rudolph meets up with one of his most valued officers, General Ticker. But I'm confused. Shouldn't this guy be at the castle? Like, did he, walk out to Rudolph and now he's gonna walk him back to the castle? I don't know. General Ticker has Rudolph follow him out from the snow all the way to a desert, where he tells him that they just have to cross it to go and see Father Time. And oh my god, what is that? Not that, that!
It was the horrible monster bird who had terrorized the sands of time for countless ages. Eon the Terrible.
We find out that Eon, this bird, can only live up to 1 eon, after which he turns into snow. But Eon's eon will end in 6 days on the New Year, making him want to find Happy, the New Year baby, so that he can live forever while not allowing the next year to roll over. Rudolph, in a haste, now not just against time, but also Eon, the monster bird, rushes to Father Time's castle, where Father Time explains why it's so important to get Happy back.
Do you know how we make the change from one year to the next? In a way, it's like an old king stepping down and a new one taking its place.
We learn that Father Time can only live 1 year each year, and then a new version of himself takes the last father's place. But I'm confused because Santa said...
Why, it's from Father Time. My old friend.
So are all the New Year babies the same person? But this one has red hair and Happy has blonde hair with huge-ass ears. So I don't really understand this. Oh yeah, and that's why Happy has gone missing. Because once again, adults, animals, and clocks can't stop laughing at children's misfortune. Once again, a story about deformed ears. I guess it was the most simple way to convey being different. But anyways, with the people laughing at Happy, he decides to run away.
Poor little Happy ran away, and we haven't seen hide or hair of him since.
Father Time explains that Happy most likely went to the archipelago of last year, where all previous Father Times go to retire on different islands of years they occupied. But wait, this baby already wants to go there? You're telling me he wants to retire before he's even started living? And how does a baby even find out about this place? He can't, talk yet? Anyways, with this information, Rudolph sets out to these islands to try and find Happy, with a warning not to get lost, otherwise he'll be stuck back in time forever. Rudolph, don't let it take over your brain yet, man. You still got 6 days left. Oh my god, no, it's Eon. Rudolph, please, you gotta move. Ah! Just when it seems like Eon is about to sink Rudolph, we're introduced to my goat, Big Ben the whale, who stops Eon and shoos him away.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, now, Rudy, don't you fret any about that overgrown chicken. You're a bad bird, Eon.
Now, with the help of the goat, Big Ben, Rudolph goes to his first and oldest island in the archipelago, 1 million BC.
It was the island where old 1 million BC had gone to retire.
Anybody home?
But certainly always is anybody.
So we meet this kooky character called OM, and he breaks out into song and dance after seeing that Rudolph looks sad, telling him to cheer up. After the song, Rudolph asks if Happy, the New Year baby, has been to this island, and OM is like, oh yeah, he was here, but not anymore because even f***ing dinosaurs can't help but laugh at babies. So, because of OM's negligence, he decides to help Rudolph find Happy.
1893, never heard of him. 1492 was too busy discovering things to even talk to us.
After looking from a multitude of different islands for Happy, they make their way to Island 1023, which is the island all about fairy tale characters.
Full of tassels and princesses, and knights in shining armor.
We are then introduced to this knight character whose volume was clearly not set correctly.
Thou look'st for the wee babe, Happy?
Is he here, Sir 10 to 3?
Aye!
So, with Sir 1023 saying that Happy is probably on the island, they go and look for him by asking a bunch of different fairy tale characters if they've seen him. So, no one says that they've seen Happy. Oh wait, he's behind that bush? So, now with Happy on the island, we see him go to a house and it plays out the story of Goldilocks.
3 bowls of porridge. Third was just right. Oh, and there he is.
Well, what do you know?
The bears, seeing that Happy is a baby in their child's bed, they decide to basically adopt him on the spot.
You want to be my little friend? We could make up games, all kind of games.
Now that Happy has a new friend, they begin to start playing outside, but the child bear instantly kind of becomes a dick because Happy won't take off his hat.
No, take all your hat, but you got to. That's the way the game goes. Goodness, you got to play the game right. You're a fine friend you had.
And, obviously, because Happy doesn't want to, lose his new friends and family, he takes off his hat. But the bears just can't help but laugh at this grotesque, ugly baby and his deformities, because goddammit, he's just too ugly not to.
Goodness, look at that.
And obviously this prompts Happy to run away once again.
Happy!
Happy, where are you?
Come on, Happy, don't hide!
After my ears are done ringing, we see that Eon has taken Happy, so Rudolph and friends chase after him on Big Ben.
Good old Big Ben. He could swim almost as fast as Eon could fly. Almost.
Ben, do something!
You bet your boots I will.
Suddenly a vagrant wind blew
Oh, bye! After Happy gets taken away by a strong wind, he eventually finds himself meeting Ben Franklin, where on this island, every day is the 4th of July. And oh my god, could you even imagine what a world like that would be like? Oh my god, that would be exhausting! And surprise, surprise, once again Happy has to take off his hat and gets laughed at by everybody. Fuck that kid! With regret about what happened to Happy, Ben Franklin decides to join the gang to try and find him. And we see that because Happy has only ever been laughed at by everyone he's ever met, he decides to go back with Eon to wherever he wants to take him.
Oh, there! Oh, I'll take you home with me! Ah!
We learn that Eon has taken Happy to a place called the Island of No Name, which is essentially just a big glacier, so Rudolph and friends follow.
It looks bad for Happy.
Tis helpless!
So, with the help of the goat, Big Ben, they make it to the Island of No Name, trying to rescue Happy. But while climbing up the mountain...
Shh! You! Oh!
Eon wakes up from his nap and causes an avalanche to happen, killing everyone. Oh wait, no, Rudolph's fine. His tumor saved him. So Rudolph makes it up to Happy and gloats about how famous he is by having dead trees sing about his story to Happy?
Well, Rudolph was too modest to tell his own story. And so all the trees on the old mountain and the snowflakes, why, they just helped him out.
Yeah, that's next level glazing. Anyways, you get the gist. They all sing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer to Happy, and we move on. So, when Happy's in his, most vulnerable moment in the movie, Rudolph, tells him to take off his hat and then just laughs at him.
Let's see those old ears of yours. Come on. We're friends, aren't we?
It's okay, Happy. Your deformities make everyone happy. That's why I laughed at you. It's okay. You're just deformed. So now Happy is like, oh, I see. They weren't laughing at me. They were laughing at me. So he's now ready to take on his role of being Father Time. But uh-oh, Eon is beginning to wake up. But he finds that Happy's fuck-ass ears are so funny that he laughs himself down the mountain and to apparently being a good person now?
Heck, nobody can turn to snow and ice when he's all warmed up inside with laughing.
Yeah, I guess that's one way to solve that problem. So now that they have Happy, they can get back to Father Time to have the new year start. But uh-oh, it's almost 12 o'clock. They won't have enough time to get back. But guess who decides to stroll in at the exact perfect moment? It's goddamn Santa. How nice of you to join us, Santa.
If I can travel all over the world in one night, I ought to be able to get you to Father Time in a few balls.
And we see that they all make it, and the new year begins to start with Happy taking his rightful place as the new Father Time. And everybody is happy and all is saved, and that was Rudolph's Shiny New Year. Well, I think this movie was definitely an upgrade from Nestor, the long-eared Christmas donkey. I always found this one to be, one, somewhat forgettable, but two, also just, where was the holiday cheer in this movie? Everybody seemed like they were assholes, like to a literal baby, who was slightly deformed, I guess. Anyways, let's just move on to our next and final film in our trilogy here, The Year Without a Santa Claus. Now, this movie was always my favorite as a kid, having songs in it that I will still sing parts of to this day just because that's how memorable they are. Let's just hope that my memory serves me right and the holiday spirit really does shine through it. This tale is all about the year Santa Claus decided to take a holiday on Christmas, and we see that Mrs. Claus is rhyming up a storm to tell us all about that premise.
Did you ever hear of the curious, furious, fidgety year when Santa Claus unhitched his sleigh and vowed he was taking a holiday? It was long ago, before you were living. Not yet Christmas, but past Thanksgiving.
We're told that Santa has been sick and in bed for the last couple of days. And every time that he thinks about Christmas, he gets concerned and also pains in his body at how he's even going to do Christmas this year.
And a sort of kind of kink inside whenever I think of that Christmas ride.
Barging in comes Santa's doctor, telling him that he should stay home this year for Christmas due to his sickness, pains, and because no one believes in Santa or Christmas anymore.
What about all that Christmas spirit and goodwill?
If you had any sense, you'd give it up as a bad job and stay home in bed this year. Nobody cares about Christmas anymore.
They don't?
Of course not. Wouldn't surprise me none if nobody even believes in you anymore.
The doctor's advice makes Santa reconsider if he should have Christmas this year, and he eventually decides to call his elves, telling them to tell the papers he's packing it up for the year.
Warn the people. Tell the papers I'm much too tired for Christmas capers.
Breaking out into song with him self-loathing about his time off.
I'm sure they won't miss me.
With concerning news about Christmas possibly being cancelled, we get introduced to the two main elves, Jingle and Jangle Elf, the two best elves that Santa has at his workshop.
Hello, Jingle Bells. Number one elf speaking.
And Jangle Bells.
Will you stop that?
And they get a call to come and see Mrs. Claus, who is busy dreaming up being Santa.
Who would know the difference if Santa Claus was me? Oh, anyone can play Santa. I've fantasized it a lot.
But quickly reminds herself that this is a film that came out in 1974, and women can't do the jobs of men. So she tells Jingle and Jangle that they'll have to go forward with Plan B.
As I see it, Santa doesn't want to go because nobody cares, right?
Right.
So all you have to do is go down there and find some example of Christmas spirit left over from last year. Now, make sure you don't get lost.
Lost?
Vixen's made the trip, haven't you, dear?
So Mrs. Claus sends Jingle, Jangle, and Vixen off on their own to the cities. Yeah, I'm sure that'll work out. So, hearing all this commotion, Santa wakes up and starts questioning Mrs. Claus what she's up to.
Now, it's nothing that need concern you. Poor Jingle. Poor Jangle.
Poor Jingle, poor Jangle? What do you mean? Why are you acting like this is a terrible idea? You were the one that sent them on this.
They're only trying to help.
Where are they?
Yeah! Mrs. C, why don't you tell Santa how you sent them to the cities?
Well, they thought they'd just browse around the world and see if the folks didn't really care about you.
Yeah, they thought, right. So then Santa is like, what, you sent those two out into that cruel world? Why?
Oh, of course not, silly. Vixen went with them.
The fucking baby. She sent the baby fucking reindeer down there with them. Hearing that Mrs. Claus sent all three of them to fend for themselves in the streets, Santa springs into action to go after them, also worrying about them running into the Miser brothers.
The Miser brothers? Oh, dear. Oh, I forgot all about those two.
Man, Mrs. Claus, what a genius plan B.
Thanks to me, Vixen and Jingle and Jangle were headed right between the two.
Oh, finally, she's taking some accountability.
Of course, I never dreamed that little Vixen would make the mistake of flying right smack into Heat Miser's territory.
So, after almost dying, Vixen takes Jingle and Jangle down to a town, promptly called Southtown. But the elves immediately get a ticket and get in trouble with a police officer for being different.
Riding a Vixen the wrong way on a one-way street and wearing funny-looking suits on a Sunday.
With the fear of possibly causing more trouble, they decide to make Vixen look like a dog and hit the streets to find Christmas spirit. We then also cut to seeing Santa talk to the police officer, wondering if Jingle and Jangle got into any trouble.
I'll say they got in trouble. Wait till the judge gets finished with them lawbreakers. He'll give them what for.
Tone it down, man. You're a bicycle officer. Seeing how the team of three haven't had any luck finding Christmas spirit, they remember nothing goes better than old men and children. So they go to a playground to ask how the kids feel about Santa.
You mean you don't care if Santa Claus comes or not? None of you?
Nah. Besides, believing in Santa Claus is for little kids.
Yeah, I'm a big kid. I'm, this many old. Learning that kids in Southtown don't care or believe in Santa Claus concerns Jingle and Jangle, but not for too long before they see that Vixen is being taken by the dog catcher.
The dog catcher's got your pooch.
Stop, thief!
Reindeer napper!
You come back here!
The kid who ended up talking to Jingle and Jangle primarily, we find out is named Ignatius Thistlewhite. What kind of fuck-ass name? And he ends up meeting with Santa in what I can only describe as a feeling of one of those films they would show me as a kid to teach me about the problems of stranger danger.
A little later, when he got home.
Hi there, little fella.
What can I do for you, Mr. Claus?
Well, I'm looking for a tight hole.
Well, I'm looking for two friends of mine, tiny little fellas, red suits.
Ignatius, was that you I heard sneeze? Not me, Mom. It was my friend, Mr. Klaus.
So, after meeting this creepy old man for literally, and I counted, 40 seconds, Ignatius brings Santa inside, calling him his friend while having a conversation about if Santa is real or not. Man, maybe kids and old men really do go well together. Jesus.
You don't believe in Santa Claus, do you, Dad?
Why, yes. Matter of fact, I do.
Me? Why, of course I do.
Someone stood beside my bed. So you're too old for Santa Claus. Then you're too old for all the things that make a life worthwhile.
Wipe that question from your mind. Yes, he does.
So, after threatening Ignatius to have cult-like mentality or else, Santa flies away after hearing Vixen has been taken to the dog pound.
Ordinarily, Santa doesn't like to show off his flying reindeer in front of people.
Seeing him fly away, Ignatius' mom and dad are like, "Holy shit, was that Santa?" Well, anyways, back to usual life. With concern for the dog actually being Vixen, a reindeer, Ignatius goes to the city hall to ask for Vixen's release, Jingle and Jangle also having the same idea. Which is where we meet my favorite character in the whole movie, the mayor.
Now, let me see if I got this straight. You two are elves, and that dog down at the pound is a reindeer? No more, please. I can't take any more. Reindeer, Santa Claus, elves.
Equal pay, giving health care, distribution of wealth? With the mayor not believing the three, he tells them that if it snows in Southtown for one day, he'll get Vixen out and call every other mayor to give Santa a national holiday for Christmas. Then the mayor has a mental breakdown in the streets. We then cut to seeing Santa at the dog pound paying to get Vixen so that he can take her back to the North Pole because the hot weather has been making her sick. Or maybe it was that blast from Heat Miser. Who knows? Not knowing how to make it snow in Southtown, Jingle comes up with the brilliant idea to call Mrs. Claus for help. Genius, man, because Mrs. Claus has had all of the best ideas as of recent. So, anyways, Mrs. Claus's plan is to show up in the night, kidnap Ignatius, and take them to a literal war commander. Just genius. Upon going to Snow Miser's castle and meeting him, he then breaks out into his famous song and dance, which in my opinion is still the best song in the whole movie and is still one that I often sing to this day. Obviously, I can't play more than just a couple of seconds of the song, but my god, it's magnificent. Even if you don't watch the movie, just look up the song. Because of Santa's fame, and generally that being coupled with the colder seasons, Mrs. Claus and Snow Miser are on good terms, and she asks for a favor for it to snow in Southtown. But Snow Miser says that he can't because his brother controls that area of the world.
Now, what can I do for you, madam?
We need a snowstorm.
Where do you want it?
In a town called Southtown, USA.
No can do, Mrs. C. The South is under the control of my stepbrother, Heat Miser.
So, hearing this, Mrs. Claus and gang sets off to meet with the fiery brother, Heat Miser. Once we arrive at Heat Miser's place, we also hear his side of the musical number from before. And we learn that he's a deranged man who wants Santa to wear a bathing suit and ride a sand buggy.
Well, why doesn't he wear a bathing suit and drive a sand buggy?
Leave me alone!
Okay, maybe he's actually more sane than I thought. Mrs. Claus asks him to allow it to snow in Southtown for one day, but Heat Miser wants a compromise.
Let it snow just for one day in the South.
Never! Unless there were, something in it for me. If a little bit of northern territory were turned over to me, shall we say, the North Pole.
Never mind, he's deranged. He's fully deranged. He's Because a deal can't be made between the two brothers because, well, one of them is absolutely insane, Mrs. Claus said she's going over their heads, making everyone panic.
I'm going over your heads.
You're kidding. You wouldn't dare.
I would, and I will.
Who? Oh God!
No.
Who?
Who? Where are we going? Who are we going to see?
Yeah!
We're gonna see none other than Mother Nature.
Oh. Okay, that doesn't sound too bad.
Children!
Oh God! Okay, maybe don't take her lightly. Also, can I just, point something out real quick? There's a literal mortal child seeing gods and deities, and nobody cares? No? No one? Alright. So, with Mother Nature's commanding force, she tells the brother to have their territories swapped for one day, having it snow in Southtown, and having the North have a day of spring. We then cut back to seeing the mayor, and for some reason I always just found this part so funny to me.
Don't forget to wear my what? Galoshes? What on earth for?
But because they held up their end of the deal and made it snow in Southtown, Santa finally gets to have his holiday for Christmas, and we see how this has affected all of the children of the world, and you would think it would make them sad, but it actually prompts them to do the opposite and give Santa presents and get well cards. With it finally being the day of Christmas, we see Santa in a little bit of distress walking around his house and toy shop because it's so out of the norm for no Christmas to be happening. Until Santa receives a letter from a child saying how she will miss him this Christmas and expressing her sadness to Santa.
I'll have a blue Christmas.
Oh, and she can also write multiple letters at once. Freaky. Jingle Jangle and Mrs. Claus come to see Santa, giving him presents from the children all around the world, and coupled that with the card that he just got, he sits there and realizes how grateful he is to be Santa, and puts Christmas back on.
Everybody standing around. There's work to be done. Load up the sleigh. Harness the team. Fetch my coat. Never felt younger. Never felt stronger. Haven't got a symptom any longer.
In a very heartwarming felt way, we see that Santa has newfound high spirits, demanding that everybody gets ready for Christmas to be back on, and so that he can bring holiday cheer to the whole world, having the film come to a close in a nice holiday spirit-filled way. And that, my friends, was the year without a Santa Claus. And well, that wraps up our little 3-movie marathon Christmas special. While rewatching these movies again, I realized that holiday spirit isn't something you can find or search for. It's something that comes naturally with the loved ones around you. While I would recommend something like The Year Without a Santa Claus as a Christmas movie over something like Nestor because of its inherent religious and moreover sadness theme that the movie has to it, I've come to the conclusion that they all hold special places in my heart because it was something my mom watched as a kid and she wanted to share that with her kids and family to experience what her Christmas used to be like. And if spending and sharing time with loved ones isn't what makes Christmas, then I'm not sure what is. So I hope you and your loved ones spend this holiday together, sharing and experiencing what makes Christmas so special to each other. Thank you for watching, and happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas.